Welcome, 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 everyone, to Two Guys in Hockey Talk. My name is Pawel the Cat with my very kind and intelligent co-host, Evan. Evan Renaerts, how you doing?
I think he's up to something tonight, folks. Guys, my name is Evan Renaerts, and I think my co-host here is up to something because he said very kind. And I'm not sure why that comment came out. Maybe he wants a night off, and a break for me stepping away last week. But hey, great to see you. So in something interesting before we're not going to get a chance. So we don't have this booked and planned into our piece, but now playoff beards. Let's admit they need to be clean the first day of the playoff, or you ain't got a playoff beard. I don't care. Hockey players go for this too. You can't have a beard like you do, Pawel. So you either get rid of that or you cannot call it a playoff beard. You must start from scratch. Guys, I don't know about anyone else out there, but
I didn't realize that you're the former GM Lou Lamoriello of the New York Islanders over here with your strict policy about beards. Oof. I didn't get that in my claws. And if people know us from a long time ago, we used to make a lot of beard jokes. So it was great. I'm keeping it. I'm sorry. I like it.
Okay.
This is very nice. This is what brings you to the playoffs. After that, I can't promise the promised land.
Well, and hey, before we get going and you open us up with some first stories, whoa!
For sure. I just want to say hey to Ray, gentlemen. It's been a good week. I'm glad to hear that, Ray. Hope you're doing well.
Ray, I want to know. I agree with that. Hey, I want to know, Ray. It's great to see you, Zell. Hey, Ray, I just want to know what's it like in New Jersey right now because we're in Western Canada and it's snowing. I feel like we're still in early February. This is like. I heard it's an El Nino year, but what is going on? So
it has been crazy.
Hey.
So we're going to get to breaking news right now. It sounds like the Chicago Blackhawks are extending their GM Kyle Davidson to a contract extension. Of course, they fall short with the postseason this year, but I really believe that they, they're on the right trajectory. They have a lot of young, good pieces that they're building around with Connor Bedard and Spencer Knight, of course, the young goalie that I think, has the potential to be a 1A. Good for Chicago. This is his fourth season right now since taking over in 2023. But I really believe you've got some good pieces. Anton Frondel, Lechushinov, Kirby Doc, of course, if he can stay healthy, and Frank Nazar, who's had a great year and he's locked up. So they're really hoping to really bolster that. And I think next year, similar to what Anaheim had this year, there's no exceptions. You got to potentially make the postseason. That's the expectation, I think, for Chicago. So it's been good. It's been exciting. And so that's new on the bright. On the news front. Now, Zistra says, I was hoping for a fairy tale ending for Ovi. Yeah, it's been interesting because we've talked about it before on previous episodes, how he potentially could retire. It kind of sounds like he may not after the game versus, the Pittsburgh Penguins when Malkin and Crosby were trying to lead a handshake and, he was kind of shooing him off. And then, of course, I think in the post-game or pre-game comments by Evgeny Malkin, who he knows very well, they've had a tumultuous relationship, but, they respect one another. He kind of said, I don't think he's going to retire. I think he's going to keep going. So it goes to show you that there may be, one more year of Alex Ovechkin, but we'll find out this summer, right? So it'll be interesting to see. And Ray says, it's been quite warm the last few days, but overall up and down for sure. The good news is no more Tom Fitzgerald. Yeah, we talked about that last week. What direction now will the New Jersey Devil take over? And Timu, hello. Hope you're doing well. I was working on my pronunciations, Timu, so just so you know, I'm getting there. So as an aside, before we get into some more news around the NHL that we wanted to cover, we did want to share with you guys, we're trying a little bit of a new thing. We have a little bit of a widget on our screen today you're going to see, and we're going to try this out for a little bit. So it's a little bit of a test where we are going to ask you different questions. And for this week's questions, we want to know who should win the Norris Trophy this week. Is it Zach Werenski? Is it Evan Bouchard? Is it Rasmus Dahlin? Is it Kel McCarr, as Kevin Bieksa vehemently explained on Saturday night last week? And they had a very passionate argument with Elliot Friedman. And of course, Pronger was there. And we'll get into Pronger, some stories happening around him. But You know what? There's a lot of debate this year about the Norris, Evan, and like you, I'd like to know your thoughts because I understand Kevin BX's rationale, but I want to counter and say I believe it's either going between Zach Werenski and Evan Bouchard. That would be my two choices. Your thoughts on the Norris?
So if I'm picking, I am picking Evan Bouchard. Any other year, a player gets the amount of points that he has, and the difference between Werenski, like I know people are talking, man, he has been terrible these last 5 games. Like he's just like shat the bed essentially, as they would say with it, and because it's not that big a difference in some of the numbers, and I get the supporting cast when you can put up what he puts up, and if people say, oh man, well, look who he's playing with. Well, why is this the only year? And that team is letting in goals left and right. And can I say, going back and looking through and I talked about this, I think a couple weeks back when I was on, I actually went back and I looked through, and some of the times it's not him. It's the other rest of the team giving up the puck, and he's the one caught. And then that becomes the actual issue with that, right? So what's Timu got to say there?
Timu said the guy who said McCarr, Hockey Night is shit, Canada. So Kevin BX, a former defenseman of Vancouver Canucks, he said got Friday Online by a guy who showed the Team Canada highlights from the championship game. I think that the argument that BX had is that he's the best all-around defenseman. He's played 70-plus games this year. I agree he's good. But here's the thing, Evan. If he's the best defenseman all around, McDavid should win the Hart every year. That's how I see the award. Yeah. But I think currently this year between Bouchard and Werenski, and I know the Columbus Blue Jackets, we'll get into it later about what's going on with Rick Bonus's comments, but I really believe that the challenge here was that, how is he doing this year? Werenski's played unreal. They struggled this year to make it. And Bouchard, I mean, he's made some defensive lapses, but when you have the puck as much as other players do, I really believe that that you're going to have lapses, right? Everyone does. And so I think it's a toss-up between these two. Do you take into consideration going into the postseason as a factor? Do you look at someone like Erik Karlsson, who a couple of years ago fed the puck in San Jose and essentially won with 100-plus points? I think it was like 101, 103 points. It just goes to show you that Cale Makar is one of the best of the best. Quinn Hughes has something to say about that up there.
But his numbers, Quinn Hughes' numbers don't add up, and you still got to put a whole year in. If you took away the first 2 months for Evan Bouchard, he would easily win this hands down. But
he struggled at the beginning, but he's picked it up.
But if you actually look and you see the numbers, Makar shouldn't even be in this, and that's why Hughes isn't up there because he didn't start well with the Canucks. Since he's joined the Wild, it's been a great run. But actually, Makar's numbers are far worse than Bouchard's when you're dealing with the giveaways and you're dealing with the amount of times and saved pucks. And the actual numbers, they are not actually recording. I've actually gone through. I've probably checked out about 5 games from all 4 of these players, and I'm actually checking them out when they're on the ice. And there is often that Bouchard never gets credit for a save on the goal line or something along that line or pulling the puck out. It's just not credited to him when I go back and check the stats, where someone like Makar seems to get it. So this is why I don't trust the analytics piece when you're trusting people behind the scenes. And some of the scouts, when we talk about amateur scouting and stuff, and they say why they don't use it, it's because at the lower levels, it's not accurate. Even at this stage, it's not always accurate. So number 5, Jordan Spence. That's interesting.
Yeah. That's an interesting pick. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, what about Miro Heiskanen? He has been so underrated as a defenseman in Dallas, and I don't think people give him enough credit. For this year, it's himself. He has, in 77 games, had 9 goals and 54 assists for 63 points. Now, he's not a point-per-game guy. That's still very incredible as a player, I know he plays with players like Thomas Harley, amongst some others, but it just goes to Miro Heiskanen. There you go. Thank you, Timo. But I really believe that Cale Makar does benefit from playing with Nathan McKinnon, March Necas. They had a great start to the season. They're President's Trophies winners. He's won it before. It's not to take anything away from him. But I really believe it's between Werenski, maybe a little bit Dahlin, although, because Buffalo finally made the postseason, but Evan Bouchard as well. I think those 3 guys have probably got my vote. don't vote, but
And I think Renensky will win it in the end, just because of the bias of the East. I always feel there's a bias from the East. I think that year Makar won it. Actually, I think it was Makar, but that was the year that Weber almost had 100 points. He should have hands down been the actually winner that year. Okay, read what Timu says here. This is interesting.
I did a thing a month ago. Cale Makar without Nathan McKinnon is about 45% on his time off ice, has the stats equal to a player such as Niels Lundqvist, who's a third pairing guy who's been injured and isn't good. Actually, I think it's worst on goals against.
Okay,
right?
I saw that girls against. We won't hold that against you there, Timu. Just like don't hold the bad enunciation of
We're learning.
Okay,
well, we talked about this last week with the two Jakes, how the Olympics really helped me learn pronunciations of some of the players. But Timu also says Heiskanen doesn't play with Harley. I know he doesn't play with. I'm saying he has someone like a Harley who's a top defenseman in the league, but he plays with Esa Lindell. He didn't play with Hintz for half the season. He played with Rantanen for 25 games of the season. He played with Stam Steeler. Rantanen had 70 points. No, I agree. I'm saying that when you look at Dallas, when people often associate the number one defenseman, yes, there's Miro Heiskanen, but sometimes people will say, hey, Thomas Harley, people wanted him, and he came out of the woodwork too, right? When he played for the World Cup. So it goes to show you that even though they have a plethora of talent, he still is able to elevate his game and be as effective as he is. So Miro Heiskanen, he shouldn't be underrated, but I feel like in the eyes of the Norris voters, he is. So that's my thought. You guys can vote, and then we can go from there.
Just before you mention Timu, so folks, if you see it on there, I'm not sure on X. We're just getting at some of our media stream. I'm going to leave it up and put it off and on. So if you see it up there, go ahead and click on your favorite. We only have 4 polls. I could have done 3 and then the other, but generally everyone talks Makar, Renensky, and Bouchard. But Darlene's been thrown in there. Heiskanen should be in there. That would be my 5th. I don't think out of those 5, no one else actually would get it. So I didn't have another. I only have 4. And we will do in the second half of the show an Adams for the best coach, and we'll hit that at the halftime show.
For sure. And Zilcher said Harley was Norris quality in Olympics. Yeah, again,
he was great. He was great.
He was a quiet, steady presence. You didn't notice. What?
No, let's go back to Zach. Who was it? Bugias? Guys, I forget. He's with Frankly Hockey. John Buguias. I'm slashing his name here. Just totally throttling it. He actually came out and said that Renensky should get it because he saw him in the Olympics, and the way he played shows he's the Norris player. Why would you take, and he's a writer and he's a voter, and he's going to vote for him because of what he did in the Olympics? Oh, come on. Talk about how biased the take is by the writers. And that's my concern about the East writers.
Gross.
What's that?
John Bucci, gross.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Why don't we get started?
Timu says Heiskanen broke an NHL playoff record for most time on ice without a goal against the Oilers and Avalanche for almost 7 games, averaging 30 minutes versus 29. Draisaitl, Mac. Again, I'm with you there, Timu. I'm all about the Heiskanen train. I think he deserves to win it, and until he wins it, he will be underappreciated the way Barkov was for the longest time.
I think Heiskanen, the time I would vote for him, is the best usually the best defenseman in the playoffs, even if he doesn't go to the Stanley Cup. That generally, he's the one that can stop him and score.
100%. And this also, and we're getting really deep into this, but this also kind of goes to the show. Should there be an award for both best offensive defenseman?
Yeah, I pulled that up earlier for Zil.
We've talked about that earlier before.
Yeah,
so something to think about. You guys can vote on the thing. It's an interesting discussion. There's a lot to do it, but we're going to get into some other stuff around the NHL with Jonathan Quick, who's calling it a career.
Whoa.
So 19 seasons in the NHL, 3 Stanley Cups he had, or 2 Stanley Cups. I can't remember if he was on the Vegas team there. 2 Stanley Cups. Conn Smythe winner in 2012. Just an all-around 753 games played with 393 wins, with a .911 save percentage, Evan, and a goals against of 2.46. I mean, playing backup for Igor Shesterkin in the Rangers in the last 3 years, he's been really a good, steady presence. But generally, hell of a career. Could be a first ballot Hall of Famer. The guy was just a beast on the ice. You'd love seeing him. And I know LA had to trade him away, but he was phenomenal. Any thoughts about Jonathan Quick?
Number one, his name, talk about prophetic. The guy, I don't know a goalie who's quicker at lateral movement from left to right. I remember watching him so often, not just regular season, but especially in the playoffs during those cup years. I've never seen a goalie play in a butterfly, go lateral, side to side. He is so low, that puck should be up top, but his glove hand, his blocker, even in the high spots when he's down low, that guy is an amazing, his athleticism was one of the best ever. And I think he was one of the best, what I would call personalities in the game, like one of the nicest guys. I'm surprised he didn't win one of those awards at some point for what he does in the community and the connection. And so, you know what? I know he's calling it a career. What's that?
The Bill Masterton Award for
that's it. Yes, yeah, exactly. Man,
946 save percentage in the 2012 playoffs.
Wow.
Like, that's how incredible he was. He was a wall.
Yeah, I mean, I love the guy. I wasn't cheering for that team, so I didn't love him that way. But he was the guy that just stowed you, and he gave you all this space, and then boom, it's gone. He snagged it, or he's thrown it off into the corner or redirected, and he could use his pads like a stick to guide it. I remember watching often when he would use his. I remember Marc-Andre Fleury early in his career before he settled down a bit because he was quite wild, but he's very athletic, and he would use his pad to guide and direct. Like all goalies do it to some extent, but he would use it regularly. So he would use his pad and pass the puck up and get into the neutral zone up to the forwards, and they make that. And Quick was incredible at that. So
100%. Well, speaking of one career ending, another one that's beginning is for Brandon Coots. So you wanted to kind of highlight his season so far.
Yeah. So, hey, I think this is really good news. If you are a fan of the Vancouver Canucks. Now, we're not going to get into it this week. We're going to wait till a little bit closer around the draft lottery around that time to get more into this on the Vancouver Canucks. So Brandon Coots, this year he hit his 63-point mark, this season, which matched his career high for his points in junior from last year. But he's done it in 15 fewer games. So he was improving. He was working more on the 200-foot game. And the kid is flying as a top-line center right now for the Prince Albert Raiders. He is driving plays, scoring, leading every night, right through the grind of this right from the grind of the regular season and into these playoffs. So I think he's added a very strong production to the postseason now too, with a couple goals in Game 3 of the Eastern Conference semis here as they push for that final. And that's the kind of jump that you need to see from your first-round pick in a draft plus 1 year. So it's not just numbers. It's that he's showing he can be a playmaker and a finisher, but also really big is a leader. And the Canucks are going to need that in their young players. So hopefully he can be a two-way force with the Canucks development staff. But you got to be thrilled about a couple other things with the Vancouver Canucks, of just the saying around this and how they've been working with him and how they've handled the midseason trades, working around captaincy. But listen, not only is he turning into someone that they're missing in their pipeline, but the Canucks prospect system is kind of buzzing. Tom Willingter, remember we talked about this for a while, what's going to happen, what's not, and we were giving people ideas last year. He was adapting really well. It's funny, you're the one correcting. Half the time, you're the one that needs it. So, but thanks, bud. He's adapting well at the pro level after a really strong college to AHL jump. So Lekkerimäki is actually also flashing those elite goal scoring in the AHL, which is good as well. And those newer pieces like Zebuam, they're climbing the rankings fast as future building blocks. And now they're going to be looking at bringing in, a third. If they didn't get the first two in the draft and they get dropped out, even though they're going to have the best odds, worse, they're going to get a top 3 player. So you got to, be excited about what's actually going on in that part of the Canucks system.
100%. There will be some growing pains next year. And of course, they're going to still have to figure out Elias Pettersson. But I think you're starting to see some of the pieces that they want to bring in and build around. And he's going to be part of that big future. So it'll be interesting to see how that transitions. Speaking of what's it called? Difficult, what's it called? Kind of like grinds
What's
that you're
it
going to
called?
have to go through. So in Columbus, as we alluded to earlier, Rick Bowness, he kind of ripped into the team after their final game, 2-1 loss to the Washington Capitals. Now, they were on a steamer when they hired him. I believe it was earlier this year. And they came in red hot. They looked like they could potentially make the playoffs. And he goes into it and rips the team about talking about how their lack of effort, consistency, overall culture is just, it's deep. It's rooted deep and it's poor. Go ahead.
And you think Zach is not a part of that? Right, listeners for Norris Trophy, listen to what the coach is saying. Zach's not sitting there by himself and the only good player right now. He's just as much of the problem.
Well, and they have some veterans there, right? And so, you wonder to yourself, what's going to really happen there? Will he be back? I mean, he came out of retirement. He's in his 70s, and he's really helped steer that ship. But what's it going to take for Columbus to get back in the postseason? We know how much of a whirlwind of a season last season was, given everything that was happening behind the scenes for the team. But really, can the Columbus Blue Jackets come out next year and be competitive and make the postseason? I love the cannon. I love the jerseys. I have one right here. I really believe that they need to address some issues. Boone Jenner, do you stick around, right? Sean Monahan, he's really been good for them, but is he a top 1C? They have some good pieces there. Adam Fantilli, is he going to be the next captain? Is it Ryan Graves? Their what's it called? Their goaltender, who's Graves, yeah.
I don't know. You're sitting there and picking on me and correcting my names, and I think you've said whatchamacallit, who and you've said that 7 times already here since we started the show. So I just want to mention, hey, you put it out, you're gonna get it come back here. So I'm just
that's fine. I can, if I can dish it out, I can take it. I understand there. So your thoughts on essentially what does Columbus do? And is Rick Bowness right for calling the team out right now at the end of the season?
I think it was just pure frustration. I don't think whether it's right or wrong. I have no problem with this. The team has failed miserably. I still did not think they were a winning team. I did not think they were ready for a playoff run yet. I'm not impressed with some people of Adam Fantilli. I think his growth has been stunted. Has not turned out to be the player even that I thought he could be. He should be able to carry. I think he's a supporting player, and he's going to need a superstar to play beside him. And some people need that, right? So, I don't know. What's that? What did
Evan tonight is acting like Stephen Johns. Yeah, I mean, really, Charlie Cole has had a good career year, and I know people were looking at him at the trade deadline. But really, if Adam Fantilli is your number 1 center with Kirill Marchenko, who had a good year, and Isaac Lundstrom, I mean, you need a little bit more depth up there, right? You need that superstar to get it going. Yeah. So I feel for Columbus fans because similar to Buffalo, they're there through thick and thin. They support their team. They want to do what they can. But I really believe that they need to change something, right? They have a lot of young, good prospects coming through, but is it enough to make a difference? So it'll be interesting to see. And speaking of a former Columbus Blue Jacket, Sergei Bobrovsky, let's get into it.
Okay, so guys, listen to this. I want to have a little conversation around this. The latest on Sergei Bobrovsky's contract situation with the Florida Panthers. I want to update you as of today. So Greg Wyshynski, of ESPN, he did say some issues on the Sheet podcast with Jeff Merrick are going on. And this happened I think it was just 2 days ago. I'm just trying to get my numbers right. But it's really the freshest and the most blunt insider take that we have out there. Now, this is the direct quote that he said. He says, I think the situation with Bob and Florida is pretty bad from what I've heard. And I've heard there's a significant gap between what he's looking for and then what they're willing to give him. And I have a feeling that they're going to go in a different direction now, which is kind of crazy, right? So this is what he has talked about. And now he is talking about an extension talks for Bobrovsky. For those that don't know, he is the goalie who has won 2 Stanley Cups with the Florida Panthers, been to 3 Stanley Cup finals straight in a row. And this year has had a bit more of a struggle. He was aging. Before those 3 finals, though, They couldn't get rid of his contract, and they were trying to get rid of it. And it's funny how people change so quickly. Like Florida fans are, move on with him. And then they complain about Vegas saying, move on with him. It's the same thing, right? It happens everywhere. You got to move on. I think that it's probably he wants around 5 to 6 million. And I think
that's the Marchand deal.
Yeah. And I think that we're really looking at probably more around 2.5 to 3.5 for a backup goalie is what they're actually looking at around that. So that 10 million is behind him. He made his money. Let's face it. He should be happy that he made money on some of those years because he was pretty bad. And this year he's been pretty bad as well. And let's face it, right? That's one of the reasons they're struggling, not mentioning they've had a lot of injuries fighting throughout the year, especially with Barkov out, right? I thought Barkov would have made it back earlier. So, but at the trade deadline, Bill Zito did publicly say, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to get your take. He says that Bob is a part of our core and they pivoted hard to extension talks instead of trading him. So the gap is real. Will it come in a shorter term, 2 to 3 years, maybe to get that AAV lower? But what's going to happen around this, right? And it does not sound like anyone else is reporting on this right now. There's lots of talk on trade rumors, Reddit, and Daily Faceoff has some recaps, okay? But other insiders like LeBrun and Friedman and Johnson, all these others, they're saying it's ongoing but unresolved. So where's your take?
I thought he was going to resign given all the talks. I think now he's gone. And you want a hot shot take? I'll give you a hot shot take. Okay. Jordan Binnington is going to be a Florida Panther.
Oh.
Yeah. I heard some rumblings that he could potentially go there. He's a little bit older. St. Louis is kind of semi-rebuilding, and I think because they can't get a contract extension done, they're going to try to they're going to move off him potentially. They're going to have something ready for him once he's ready to retire and he could be office management. But I really believe they're going to go after someone because they're going to try to go after it next year. This year was a blip for them. They lost. It didn't work out. A lot of injuries, of course, as you know. And of course, understandable with 3 Stanley Cup final appearances, winning 2 of those. It takes its toll. He's played a lot of games, right? When you include 16 plus games in the postseason, plus, the regular season, and now it's going up to 84 games next season, right? It's a lot for a goalie. I know they're far apart on the numbers, but I think that he probably, unless there's some deal with, bonus structure attached to it, I think he's not going to stay there. Zilstra asked, would he San Jose sign him? I could see him potentially going somewhere where he can mentor a young guy. I don't know if Edmonton would take a chance on it. Edmonton has to figure out their own Tristan Jarry situation again, even though Stuart Skinner hasn't exactly lit it up in Pittsburgh, although they did make the postseason. So I really think that he's probably gone.
So what if Edmonton makes a last-minute deal, Stan Bowman, just with his expiring contract so they can quickly get Bobrovsky in and sign him, okay, for next season to maybe, say, a $5 million deal times 3 years, but they had to get him by trading Tristan Jarry out and eating 50% of his cap for the remaining years.
That would be a bad faux pas on their
part. Oh, man, we are so far behind. We better get moving.
All right. Why are still see some about at the AV's cap so high now? Because they're what's it called? They want to showcase their dollars and they really want to pay out. So, I mean, the cap is going up, but it's going to be interesting to see what other teams do. In terms of attracting other free agents, right? We saw what LA did with Panarin and that Seattle offered him a bigger deal. But, I mean, you got to pay to have a player come sometimes. Sometimes that's the way to entice players. But we'll get on to it. Just a quick note, Chris Pronger, former NHL, veteran Stanley Cup winner. He's got a new book out, Earned the True Cost of Greatness, from one of the hockey's fiercest competitors. I like Pronger when I watched him play. Great player, although he's been making some questionable comments, including how he was quote unquote drunk when he signed his contract with the Edmonton Oilers. Although they did go to the Miracle Run in 2006, which was a great time for people of the city of Edmonton. But he's now throwing a little bit of shade to the point where on LinkedIn, Kevin Lowe, former GM and player, had to make comments to rebuttal Chris Pronger. So he's been doing the tour dates, he's been getting out there, but your thoughts on Chris Pronger kind of sharing his side of the story? Because you always love to see it afterwards. You know, you hear stories once their careers are done, because maybe NDAs or whatever the situation may be, you can reveal the story. But I don't know, it seems to be ruffling a few feathers, including in the city of Edmonton.
Okay, well, and this makes sense because of everything that happened. So first of all, let's just, I mean, it's out there, so it's not like I'm not going to mention it and get into it. But I want to mention to everyone, it's unsubstantiated. There's no proof that he slept with someone and all this kind of stuff. Could it have happened? Everything's possible in life, right? So we're not saying yes or no, but right now there is absolutely no proof, and it's all just people that are talking. And if you draw your own conclusion, that's up to you. But I do want to say this, though. So in his report, he actually showed up today on the Gregor show. So what happened, and he shares now, this is him sharing. His book says that he was drinking when all this happened, and so he got stuck in this deal. His wife hadn't agreed. Not sure why his agent wasn't involved. That was kind of confusing. So Kevin Lowe's like, hey, this is silly. Your wife actually sent me a letter saying how excited she was to coming here. I think Kevin Lowe, I've never heard him say a lie in my life. The guy is he's classy. And now today on the Gregor show, Jason Gregor show, for those that want to follow the Pronger piece, you can go back. He actually has the full piece. And in there, he says, this is what happened. He had the discussion at night. He got the call from Kevin Lowe. He talked with his wife, and they're thinking through it. The wife goes to bed, and he's still drinking away while he's talking. And he says, yeah, let's do it. 5 years. Never been to. Now he's saying, well, I'd never been to the place. I hadn't done this. I hadn't done that. Why would you even sign? And then Gregor asks him, well, where was your agent? And he goes, well, it was in the middle of the night. And he goes, well, couldn't you have backtracked? And he goes, you could, but how do you do that? Mm-hmm. Kind of a weird answer. And then Gregor says, well, actually, Kevin Lowe on LinkedIn says that your wife sent something. He goes, not to my knowledge. He goes, did you ask her? And he goes, yeah, but not to my knowledge. So something seems kind of fishy here now around the story. But he's saying that the agent was not involved. He wasn't going to backtrack after his wife had gone to bed around it. The bottom line is the wife did not want him to sign here. This was not about money for her. He had no issue with the city when he was here. He had no issue with the people or the team and stuff like that. It was a whole bunch of other things around it. So anyway, great storyline. But guess what it's going to do for him? It's going to sell his book, buddy.
For sure. And he's looking at getting up into upper management. So it'll be interesting to see. Key, how you doing? Let's go Flyers. Yeah, they're back in the postseason since 2020. Should be exciting. I'm sure that Jamie Basco is over the moon. And then Kyle, your Boston Bruins are facing off versus the red hot Buffalo Sabres. Should be exciting. All right, our second vote question of the night is who should win the Jack Adams. Before we get into the selections, I just wanted you to kind of talk about before we get into John Cooper, who's the coach for this player, or is going to be the coach for this player. Let's talk about Sam O'Reilly for what's called Tampa Bay.
For what's his name? There you go. What's his name? What's the team's name? Anyway, Sam O'Reilly. I'm being Stephen Johns, I guess, tonight. So Sam O'Reilly, if you guys remember in the offseason, Sam O'Reilly headed to Tampa Bay. He was a prospect that was drafted by the Edmonton Oilers. They actually moved up in Vegas to actually get up when they were at the Spear. And so he headed over to Tampa as a prospect, still playing junior. And Isaac Howard, so he's 2 years older, and he headed to Edmonton in the July trade this last summer. Now, the wild part, and this cracks me up, I meant to talk about this a couple weeks back, but Howard just turned 22 on March 30th. Sam O'Reilly turned 20 on the March 30th as well, on the exact same day. They're 2 years apart to the day. I don't know. Are they 2 hours apart? Same birthday. And they get swapped in a straight up prospect deal. I'm like, who would have guessed? But as of today, I do want to say this. Now, O'Reilly is tearing it up right now in the OHL with the Rangers. He had 43 points in his 28 games after the midseason move to the new team. He's been hotter in the playoffs, lighting it up, multi-goal games. He's right at the top of the Rangers' deep push. The Lightning really love this, and a lot of their fans are promoting him, believing he's going to be that two-way center that can finish and drive play. Some fans believe he'll be a top-line center. Please calm down. He is not going to be your top-line center. I mean, at least unless he pulls something that no one expected. If he becomes a third-line center, two-way guy, you are still doing good for a career. And maybe at best he could move over to the wing. I mean, I'd be over the moon, and I'd be happy for him if he projected into a second-line winger and filled in on the third line, kind of like Nugent Hopkins could do maybe in the Edmonton situation. But Howard, though, he has been in the system in Edmonton. But he's the exact opposite in the fact that he's doing an incredibly good job, made the all-star team for the AHL, and he split the year. We shouldn't say split, because he's mostly spent the year in the AHL. Started off with some points. I feel Pawel, he was brought in early on and stayed up just because of injuries, but that shouldn't have happened. I think they were trying to test to see if he was ready. They should have given him AL early, and he might have been up a week ago. And so right now he's getting into the last end of the year. But good for him making the all-rookie team. The guy has played a wonderful thing. So I just found this a really cool story. 2 first-round talents, 2 years apart, same birthday, opposite conferences, and developing on totally different timelines. One's dominating in junior, and the other is at the top of the AHL level, ready to make that NHL break. So what's your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think it's a great for players to come in and be able to make an impact. I think for Isaac Howard coming into a team where you can get to the groove of playing in the NHL again, and now going into the postseason, given that there's some unclarity about some of the injuries with the team, because we do have some of the rounds picked out, but Edmonton doesn't know who they're facing until most likely tomorrow night. But you can come in and play top 6. And so you're going to make an impact right away. I like it. I also, his teammate in Bakersfield, Quinn Hudson, also is going to be for coming up. And he's also been nominated for the All-Star game in the AHL. So that's awesome, really cool. Let's get into quickly the Jack Adams, because there's been some chatter about who should win. Now, our top 4 that we've put up there, now this is not necessarily the list that should make it, but so it's not exhaustive, but John Cooper of the Tampa Bay Lightning, Lindy Ruff of Buffalo Sabres, Jared Bednar of the Colorado Avalanche, and Dan Muse of Pittsburgh. I know it sucks. I would say Dan Muse would probably have my vote in between, tied with Lindy Ruff, only because most likely Ruff will win it because of the fact that he took Buffalo after 14 plus years of not making the playoffs. But Dan Muse took a Pittsburgh team that nobody expected to be where they are, and they are now in the top in the Metro and helping Sidney Crosby back in the postseason. And Kyle Dubas, a lot of credit for him, but Dan Muse, the way he's gotten to play guys like Anthony Mantha, Ben Kindle, who's been a rookie and really sensational, especially since both Crosby and Malkin have been out with injury. Letang, Erik Karlsson has had a resurgence career this year, potentially could get some Norris votes. Not as many as the ones we listed, but those are my thoughts. Your thoughts on the Jack Adams?
And I wouldn't say him. I'd actually go with Dan because he's got the most out of a group that should not have even been there. So John Cooper has always had a great team. I mean, now he is an incredible coach. I would take him any day. Lindsey Ruff has done incredibly well with a team that was underperforming. Let's face it. That team, they've been calling for the last 3 years for that team to be in the playoffs. It's how high they finished and how well they turned around after the GM change. It's crazy because usually a GM change does not cause the team to win. But something happened in the culture, I think. And I'm interested. I've been sending some feelers out to see if anyone out there specifically can talk about what happened culturally and in behind the scenes that we can hear about in the off season. So anyway, that's why I would go with him. I think Jared's had a great year, but again, a great team. So I would take Dan because I think he's got more. And like you said, they got superstars not playing well. You got a Chris Letang who has really fallen back. Erik Karlsson is having one of the best years. Yeah. Probably it's his 4th best year in his league history around it. So, hey, I see that. And that's a great point I wanted to make. Go ahead and mention what Timu says there.
So he says Glenn Gulletson missed 13 players this year and is second in the NHL, including top 5 out of 6, top 6. So I agree. I mean, there's no wrong candidates. Zylstra talked about Joe Quenneville and Andre Tourdy. Yeah, Utah finally making it to the postseason. Exciting there for that fan base. Joe Quenneville coming in after a long hiatus. And of course, the Ducks coming out on top and being one of the top 3 teams in the Pillow Fight Pacific Division. Rick Tocchet, of course, helping the Flyers overcome with that roster that you think, like, could they make the postseason? But here we are. Again, and he's been nominated before too, right? So you guys can vote and let us know who you think should win. But I think that there's a plethora of amazing coach talent, albeit it doesn't always translate to the following year.
Yeah.
So just be mindful that, things could change. All right. That's been a lot for that. We got to get into a little bit of around the ring because last week Zylstra gave me a little bit of heat. Put my head to the fire with not having any news beyond the NHL, and that I do apologize. I did have fun without you here talking all things NHL with the Jakes. Around the rink.
Okay, hey, can I just go back? I just saw something. So I see that. Where is it here? Let me get this on here. Who is Timu calling both our bums?
Quenneville or Tourney?
Oh, okay, that's what that was. Right, okay. And I'm gonna say I see that you had Zill up there too, saying that Talkie gets fired partway through next season. I think he'll get the full season and then get fired.
Okay, we'll see how they do.
Okay.
Playoff success really does depend on a lot of things, how far they go, what they can do, right? It's anyone's game as the 16 teams are set up. But speaking of around the rink, so in the OHL, they've named Nikita Klepov of the Saginaw Spirit as their 2026 Rookie of the Year after a standout debut season with 97 points, including 37 goals and 60 assists.
Wow.
Very impressive production for a rookie. Highlighting his ability to score and playmaking impact. He's risen into potentially moving up in the NHL draft as a potential higher draft pick. Again, great young player. Your thoughts on him?
I love Klepov. I mean, this guy is like what I see, his drive, his work ethic, his strength. He's working on every element of his game. So I'm so excited to see this change that he's having. In fact, my season ending, I definitely have moved him up. I've actually moved him up 7 slots. So I've actually moved him up quite high in there. But yeah, so great for Nikita. Great for him. Remember, the Spirit lost Misa last year. So that was a big deal for them. So it was great that someone like him to be able to come in and play so well around it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he gets drafted. All right, and you wanted to talk about Michael Hague? From
Michael
the
Hague.
Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, so let me give you guys a quick breakdown on the latest with actually specifically 3 prospects by Hague. So Michael Hague or Michel Hague, some because you're thinking Montreal. So I hear people calling him Michel. But this is just fresh off the ice, okay? Big news has dropped over the past few days. If you have not checked on Michael Hague's decision, and it has triggered a ripple effect. He has chosen players' decision to stay in university with the University of Michigan. So he will not, the Canadiens fans were pumped for next year, hoping even for a playoff run this year. Now, he was their 2024 first rounder. He was 21st overall. If you guys remember, he was on that top line. He actually played, I believe he was the one playing with Gavin McKenna. Now, interesting enough, this aligns him for another season at Michigan, which I'm going to talk about just in a second, a couple other things. But he's also going to get the World Juniors for another year. And he was right at the top with those numbers. So he could be competing with Bedard for some high numbers if he has an even better year. Because remember, Bedard didn't play at 18. He came right into the NHL. Okay. So anyway, with the Wolverines, he helped them reach a Frozen Four. But instead of signing the contract, he is going back. Now, listen to this. He could have went to Laval, by the way. That could have been the other option for him. But his agent, Pat Brisson, has confirmed this. Now, interesting. There's no drama. Don't get worried about this. Hughes is not. So your GM, for you Canadians fans, Kent Hughes is all over this. It's player-driven development, and he's going back. But he's going to get a bigger leadership role. He's going to have more ice time, more responsibility, more time to add to his physical strength, his mental maturity, and he just turns 20 this month. So not going to be a problem. So he's going to join you at the end of next year after I'm guessing they will be in the Frozen Four. Right now, they're favored to probably win everything next year, and I'll tell you why. He has unfinished business after their loss, and he wants another shot at the title. But let's look at the long-term view. This is what's interesting. I could see him as their second centerman. That literally, he is that good. But one of the things that's actually interesting that we're seeing is he's got a couple buddies with him, which I'm going to talk about in just a few moments here. But he's got Jack Nesbitt of Philadelphia. Okay. And, oh man, I didn't have it handy with me. Who was the other person? My apology. I thought I had all my notes. Oh, and Cameron Reed of Nashville, who was drafted. So both guys are going back to actually play specifically this year now for the team. So this is going to be interesting because he's going to have Jack Nesbitt and Cameron Reed and Michael Hayes. They're all going to be playing for Michigan. And I went on and I looked on the team, just before coming on. They got Will Horkoff, He's a Pittsburgh draft pick. They have Jack Ivankovic, Nashville, goalie. Malcolm Spence, the Rangers pick. They have Henry Muse of Calgary, Jordan Pennon of Carolina, Asher Barnett of Edmonton, Cole McKinney, San Jose. Plus, they got Nick Moldenhauer, Toronto, and Math. These are all draft picks of the NHL playing for the Michigan next year. So I actually think this is a hands down. He's going back because he's got a legit chance to win it. So what's your thoughts on him holding on and not jumping to Montreal? And do you feel for Montreal Canadian fans, Pavel? Because they were excited about this.
I do feel for them because they're a passionate fan base that wants to get out and really show that they support their team. I mean, look at the excitement with Demonov and the reception he got when he arrived last season, and just the passion that people have there. But I really believe it. I'll agree with Zylstra which is a rare thing here, right? Unicorn. It's good to stay back, develop. There's no rush. I think they had what was it? Kind of a dinner meeting with Jeff. What's it called? What's it called?
What's his name? What's it called?
This is my night. I'm tripping up my words. The GM owner, Jeff Gordon.
Drinking.
And
Jeff Gordon. Okay, yeah.
Jeff Gordon, and just kind of talking about how there's promise and opportunity for him to come up and play. But if he wants to develop himself and stay one more year, let him do it. Again, Montreal has one of the best and probably one of the deepest young prospects right now in the NHL, and they have a lot of players ready to go. Okay, that's right, Timu. I'm slurring my words tonight.
He's drunk. He's drunk. I don't know what on, but he's drunk. Probably lack of sleep. Lack of sleep. That's probably it.
Listen, we all make mistakes, all right? So here we are.
It's all good. It's fun.
Again, I believe this is good for his development, and I think he'll benefit from it.
Awesome.
All right. And speaking of other young prospects and rookies, the Hobey Baker Award has been awarded this year, and it goes to Max Plant, who is out of the University of Minnesota, Duluth, after a breakout sophomore season. So we talked about the finalists a couple weeks ago. He has really cemented himself as one of the best. And oftentimes these players go on to have really good NHL careers. Your thoughts on Max Plant winning?
Does my kind of answer? I think this was silly. There were so many better players this year. I do not think this was a wise choice. I didn't like half of their selections of the Final Four that actually were selected. So I'm.
He says he wasn't even in my top three. McKenna, LOL. Yeah. And as Timu perfectly encapsulated my riveting podcasting experience tonight.
Well, I know, right? And I really do think that I would have actually had a guy like, I was shocked that Porter Martone was actually not on there. I thought like
he's had a good start to the NHL career with Philadelphia, but there's been some backlash with him and the officials and just kind of
we'll get into that in another discussion. We don't have a lot of time. We got lots to get through.
So you wanted to get into a little bit about the NCAA men's hockey transfer portal.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So guys, I'm just letting you guys know. I'll be really quick just because we don't have a lot of time. We're gonna have to drop a lot of stuff around here. But anyway, within 12 hours of the NCAA men's hockey transfer portal, it opened up on Monday, April 13th. Okay. And more than 200 players jumped into that portal. It was absolute chaos right out of the gate. So where are we thinking now, days later? Well, Division I players have officially entered. And so it breaks down to 145 forwards and 106 defensemen and 41 goalies. So that's about 85 to 90 of them have already actually committed to new schools, which leaves roughly 200 players still shopping. Now, it stays open till the 27th, but there's not going to be the same kind of movement. Most of them are already claimed. It's a tight 15-day window. There's a lot of things that go into it, but it will slam shut for all those undergrads wanting to transfer. I'm not big on this transfer portal. I don't like it myself. Some people may have a different kind of a take on it. But anyway, I found it kind of interesting how the whole thing works. And so just understanding when they go in, it's not automatic that they go elsewhere. They just open up so that they can make a transfer potentially somewhere else. And it gives them a chance to free agent shop another college or university per se.
And Zilstra asks, do you think McKenna declares to remain? Is there any word there on updates on him?
No, he's going to be playing in the NHL.
Okay.
There's been people that feel like he should go back, but everything that's lining up, he believes that he's ready to make it. He believes he's strong enough. Contrary to the reports, his strength in the corners, his battles, Guy Godowski, a lot of people, they played in an NHL system. He gained about 7 to 8 pounds of solid muscle over the hockey season. That's a lot. And he's never going to be a deep in the middle player. He does play perimeter because he draws everybody. But you don't have to always be going to the middle. McKenna's going to be fine. I know that people think if he goes to a team that's rebuilding, should he actually play? I know for many of us, we don't think. He wants in, and I think he has the ability to minimum be a second line left winger on any team that he goes on immediately, anywhere in the NHL.
And I think Timu says to your NCAA college pool, I think it's much better than the basketball football one, which almost has no rules. So it'll be interesting to see. I just wanted to quickly wrap up because we have a few things to talk about. The Gregorian Cup in the KHL has heated up. The AK Bars Kazan have thoroughly dominated Dynamo Minsk. They've, I believe, taken a command lead, if not already eliminated them. And, of course, the Lokomotiv Yaroslav have surged into the semifinals behind elite goaltending from Daniel Isaviev, who recorded 3 shutouts in 4 games. And then, of course, the games between Avangard Omsk and CKA Moscow is tight, still going to another game. So we're kind of getting to the end here, which should be exciting. And then we'll wrap up. You wanted to talk about the PWHL.
Yeah. Okay. So let's keep this a little bit shorter, guys. I do want to make mention one of the things that there's a news flash. First of all, Seattle, the expansion team in the PWHL, Torrent fans. Seattle Torrent gave fans their favorite, Carly, known as CJ Jackson, the Not in Net. And it's a big deal. I wished her congrats. She's very good at interacting, by the way. She sent me back thanking her for. But guys, if you blinked, you might have missed it, but it was a big deal. So they put her between the pipes. She started the other season with Toronto originally. For most teams, it would be just routine goaltending news, but it was a moment. She is the first PWHL's first openly non-binary player So now here's the thing. She has they have the ultimate personality kid. So I apologize saying non-binary, and then I start getting my pronouns wrong. But yes, so they light up the light every time at press conferences. Everybody loves them. But they've spent the entire season as the third goalie, and it's a thankless job. Now, what's interesting, emergency backup. So now what's interesting about this, CJ was actually scheduled for us the beginning of last season to be on with us and had to push things back because of training camp. Now they go back to the Professional Hockey Federation days for women's hockey as well, with the Buffalo and the Toronto Six. And that's kind of why I've been wanting to get in. But the PWHL has been quiet and hard to connect with because they have special contracts. So I'll just tie all the PWHL news up. They have contracts is what I found out. And because it's one intellectual property and they're under league rules, so they cannot be in contact with people outside of who they actually normally would work with. So obviously we're bummed we didn't get the interview with her, but it is big news around that. And I just like to say that when her career's over, or if there's an off season, we might be able to put something actually together. They're doing a good job at trying to push the streaming, but it just kind of frustrates me. And maybe just give us in 1 minute, tell us the news about the PWHL and where the future's going with the league expansion.
So there is expansion on the horizon, but essentially, I believe it was I think Edmonton, Quebec City, Detroit, and Denver are all teams that are expanding. Calgary, I believe, also is up there and has already been approved. So they are hoping to expand. They're getting good revenue in terms of deals, in terms of TV deals, and getting people butts into seats, right, as we've talked about before. So the league is growing fast. It's attracting a lot of new viewers, and I think it's been fun. I know their postseason's coming up here too soon, so we're going to be talking about that in the coming episodes as things progress. But it's going well, right? I think they're doing the right thing ever since they combined the two leagues together and really figured out one type of system to really promote. So dig what they're doing. We're going to get into a little bit of more NHL news, but that has been Around the Rink.
Hey, why don't you pick? I'm just looking at the time, Pawel.
Yeah, I'm just going to get you to do something, and then we'll jump into hockey history before we wrap up everything.
Okay, let's do that. I was going to say leave the rest of my stuff that I have, so don't worry about that.
That's fair. There wasn't much left because you talked about.
I got lots left. No, we got like 3 or 4 things that we would have talked about.
We know that the postseason potentially is starting up this Saturday. And there's Jacob, hoping Edmonton gets a PWHL team in Calgary for another Battle of Alberta. Yeah, that would be great. And thanks to Jake for being on the show last week.
Thanks, Jake.
We have a few series that are already set, so I just want your quick thoughts, and you guys in the comments can let us know your thoughts of who wins this series and who moves on and how many games have it. Buffalo versus Boston. Go ahead.
Buffalo takes it in 6 or 7.
Okay, good. I like that. Although Boston could be a sneaky good, and I think Grant Cummings may have something to say about that. He's our writer for the Boston Bruins. All right, the Philadelphia Flyers versus the Pittsburgh Penguins, Battle of Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pittsburgh takes his hands down, and they win it in 5 games.
5 games. Oh, I think it goes 7. No. And I think Pittsburgh goes in 7. That's interesting.
They do not have the skill on Philadelphia. To me, is a wreck. They do not have the skill.
Who's your goalie for Pittsburgh? Is it Skinner?
I think that they will actually honor Skinner to start the first playoff game, and then they'll decide where they go from there.
Carolina versus Ottawa Senators.
Actually, this will be surprising because Senators are tough, so I do think it could be a 6 game, but Carolina will easily come out of this.
I agree, and I think it's more so if their goaltending can hold up. It's goaltending. It's a battle of the goaltender for that series, right? If
really?
Can stay healthy,
Do you think they could beat Carolina? Well, I don't think so at all.
No, I'd say Carolina will win. I think Linus Ullmark needs to really.
If Linus Ullmark can play like all-star, I gotcha.
That's what you need, yeah. Jake said, no problem, guys. Love the podcast randomly. Did Vegas change the arena name from T-Mobile City National? Just saw the pregame. Maybe. I did not know that.
Actually, Jacob, great question. I will look into that right after. And we'll talk about it next week's show. I did not know that, actually.
In 7. I could see this going far. Pittsburgh takes it in 6, and then Skinner starts in net, and then he says in 6. All right, and the final Eastern Conference showdown, Montreal Canadiens versus the Tampa Bay Lightning, the rematch of the 2020 Stanley Cup Championship.
Yeah. 6 games, Tampa Bay Lightning.
Okay.
Montreal is a very skilled team, very smart, have great hockey sense. I just think they're too small. and they're not quite ready, they got to build around some of that.
There's got to be an upset sometimes. You know that, right? So I could see Montreal winning that
there
one.
Doesn't got to be nothing,
only if Vasilevsky is a little bit tired and they don't have Hedman full health back. That would be the only thing, but I could see Tampa Bay winning. All right. In that sense, that's the East. That's all. We don't know the West yet.
Well, we kind of know the West, though. Hey, if
well,
we
not really.
Well, right now, because right now I did a look on this, okay?
So the only one we know is Dallas and Minnesota, and I don't know if they know home ice advantage yet.
And it doesn't matter, I don't think.
I still pick Dallas.
We pretty much know that the Kings, a high percentage, the Kings are going to get that second wild card, play the Avalanche. It looks really close that the Oilers are going to play the Anaheim, and Utah is going to play Vegas. That's what I mean. It could go a little different, obviously.
Who does Colorado play?
The highest percent. Well, okay, so right now, regardless, the highest percentages are Vegas versus Utah, Edmonton versus Anaheim, Colorado versus LA, and Dallas versus Minnesota.
LA, yeah, it's LA.
Yeah. So let's go Colorado and Los Angeles. What do you got?
Colorado.
In what?
Oh, in 5.
Okay, you got Colorado in 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you know that you gave.
I just think Colorado's advancing to the second round at least, but I don't know if the President's Trophy curse continues on.
I think that so interesting enough. I actually think that they're going to sweep. I think Colorado could sweep the LA Kings.
Okay, I think LA can get one win out of it.
Okay.
Who's your goaltender? Is it Wedgwood?
I had a typo. Didn't notice or hear. No, I didn't hear either, Jacob. Okay, yes, Wedgwood's he's your go-to guy right now. They've mentioned some of the insiders have already mentioned that too. Okay, Dallas and Minnesota. I'm going to assume.
You said Dallas in 6.
Okay, you said Dallas. I didn't catch that. Sorry, with everything going on. Okay, yeah. So for me, I actually think Dallas takes it in 5. Okay. I just think that Minnesota. I mean, I like what they've done, and they're becoming but you know what? I have not been updated. Timu, who is going to be out for at least the first couple games of this playoff? That I'm interested in.
Hintz?
Yeah, Rope Hintz will not be in. Is there anyone else missing? That would be interesting because that's going to make the difference whether this is a longer. Regardless, they'll win it even if they're missing a couple of key players. So,
all right, and then Edmonton potentially or Vegas versus potentially. Utah, right?
Six for Vegas. Utah. You got Utah. Wow, good for you.
Yeah, I know they're on the hot streak with the goalie or coach bump, but I believe that Utah can really sneak one out, and there's going to be an upset. There always is.
Wow. Hey, good for you, man. Good for you taking that. You are always into upsets, but I'm upset that you're into upsets. Miro. Miro, that's right. Heiskanen's not going to be in. I thought he was going to be okay. Well, I haven't paid attention in the last week here or two on what the numbers and the people. So okay, thanks, Timo. Well, it's going to be 6 or 7 games now that for Minnesota. If you're not
he's expected Stars to miss.
That's a big deal.
So Heiskanen's expected to return.
In
the last
Timo looks like says Miro.
He probably knows better, but I know Hintz was out for a bit.
He follows,
and I feel bad for him.
If Heiskanen's
day to day, okay, so day to day means week to week. That's what I was thinking.
but they would be ready to go. So I bet the first 2 games. So with Utah, I just don't think they have the scoring to be able to beat Vegas, and Vegas has some clutch people and have won before. So I actually see Vegas winning it in 6. So let's go hypothetically. We're looking at Anaheim and Edmonton. Now let's go that Dickinson is not going to be back in the first round per se. And let's just say Draisaitl might be a second or third game. What do you got?
Edmonton in 6.
Okay, you got Edmonton in 6.
Only for past veteran experience of being back-to-back Stanley Cup Finals. They don't.
Yeah, just the experience and I'm
guessing the newness for the playoffs for what's it called? Barring a wild injury, I think it's Edmonton in 6.
So for me, a big part of this is Hyman back. They can't go without Hyman and without Dickinson. Otherwise, it's going to be 7 to win the first round, and they'll barely get by.
Hyman is supposed to be back first game of the playoffs.
Now, that's what I hear, but I don't trust Knobloch. I don't trust anyone on the Oilers. They don't seem to know their numbers and their dates at all. I know Draisaitl has been practicing and back out there and skating pretty good. I saw some of the clips. I got
Eating
some
a
clips
bag of popcorn.
Yeah, I got some clips sent to me from one of our local radio guys. So he sent some stuff on because he's on X, and so he had sent some stuff over because I'd asked him some questions, and man, he looked good. His stops, his turns, his changes. So I'm pretty sure he'll be back for game one.
Well, they start on Saturday, so that's going to be exciting. So
was it announced Saturday that the host automatic?
No, I think in general the Stanley Cup playoffs start on Saturday.
Oh yes, the Oilers may not though.
Yeah, Oilers may not. Yeah,
they may be on Sunday or Monday even.
Yeah, Jacob said Edmonton is 6 if it's the Ducks. Agreed. Yeah,
so
the only reason I see Ducks having some chance is Lucas Del Stolo goes nuclear and plays out of his mind.
And I will say this though, I think that Ingram may have a bad game, like a rough couple goals he lets in, but it's usually every third game. And he has a couple good games, and that's all you need to win in the playoffs is to win 2 out of 3 games, and you're going to win every time. So anyway, for them to go far, I just want to say this. The Oilers need to have Dickinson back. They need Hyman, and they need Draisaitl, and they need Connor Ingram to stay healthy and play just basic hockey. If they can do that, they have a chance to go to the quarterfinal, like to the conference finals again. Yeah. Could you imagine? And
that was going to go from the Pacific. So, did you want to wrap up with your hockey history?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Hey, folks, let me take you back to a frozen rink in Nova Scotia. So all you guys from the Maritimes will like this. But I'm going to take you back to 1895. And so this is going to be about 20 years before the NHL even existed. I want you to imagine Sunday church service is over. The congregation spills out. But instead of heading home, a bunch of, and I'm going to use the referencing of how it was referred to. Okay, so please, no offense here. But a bunch of young black men lace up their skates, and they're not just playing a pickup game. They're about to change hockey forever. What I want to talk to you about is what was called the Colored Hockey League of the Maritimes. They were an all-black league that most of actually hockey world still doesn't even know existed. And I wanted to give a shout out to them. So it starts in Halifax and Dartmouth over in there in Nova Scotia. They have 4 brilliant guys who are considered black leaders in their areas. There was a pastor, a guy named James Borden, a lawyer, and a community organizer that all came together. Another guy was kind of a Pan-American Africanist. And anyway, they all got this idea. And so the Maritimes really had this strong black community, actually one of the first places in Canada. Most people don't even know. And many of them, though, were descendants of slaves who had escaped the Underground Railroad. And they decided to form this league. They were drifting away from church. And so the guys said, let's start some rival church teams. And they played hockey after church. It was the promise of a game that would bring them in. And guess what? It works. And so this was really cool, guys. It kicked off with 3 teams, the Dartmouth Jubilees, the Halifax Eurekas, and the Afferville, I think it's Afferville. That's how you say it. I don't know. Seasides. But it exploded. And in the early 1900s, they were up to a dozen teams across the Maritimes. And over 400, guys, catch this, 400 black players suited up. They had crowds of thousands back then. In the early 1900s that packed the rinks, okay? They were fast, physical, loud, and now this is where it gets cool. They didn't just play, they actually reinvented it. Now this is my exciting part that I'm going to get you ready in just a moment and wrap up today's show on hockey history. Well, white leagues still were forcing goalies to stay standing like statues. A player named Henry, and this I love this because being a goalie, Henry Braces Franklin started dropping to his knees to stop pucks. It was the early version of the butterfly style, decades before the NHL even knew. I just learned this week. I didn't know about this. And so they would leave. Most guys never left their feet. And then Eddie Martin of the team, the Eurekas of Halifax, brought what became known as the first slap shot in 1906, where he flew faster and harder than anyone. Now, these were not gimmicks. These were game changers that were born out of necessity and the creativity. And so they play under the same rules, everybody else, all the white leagues. Of course, they had to play on their own. But in segregation and racism, this league was so much more. It proved that black athletes could dominate the white sport. And their championship games were every bit as intense as all the majors and so forth. But what ended up happening is when the war came in 1911, and it took a real big hit during World War I, came back in the 20s and faded in the Great Depression. But for 35 years, this thing thrived before Willie O'Ree broke the NHL's color barrier because it's called the NHL, right? But decades, the story was lost. And it took two brothers, digging through newspapers and family stories and brought it back. And it's getting recognition. And it's now in the National Historic Event in Canada. So what they've done is they've actually written, and they tell all about the Colored Hockey League and how it was invented around, how people played for their faith, and it wasn't just a dream, all these things. And so this became a moment in hockey history that I hope many of you will never forget some of the four founders before the NHL began. And that's it for hockey history.
All right, and that wraps up our show again for this Wednesday evening, April 15th. We wish you all the best. We are back here next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We are on Facebook, on X/Twitter, on YouTube, and on Instagram. Feel free to give us a follow. We love hearing from you. We've got regular updates on our articles, the latest and the greatest around the world at Two Guys in Hockey Talk, as well as former guests. If you want to be part of the show, feel free to reach out to us through our website or through one of our social media affiliates. We want to thank our partnerships again for all the work you guys do with us. And if you want to partner with us, feel free to reach out because we love hearing from you. We love connecting with you, and we love talking all things hockey. And on that note, Evan, playoff hockey is just around the corner.
I know. It's exciting, man. But guys, every week, by the way, I will not be with us next week. I will be in the Dominican Republic in Punta Cana, enjoying my time there. So we will have a guest that's going to co-host with Pawel. So guys, don't give the guest a hard time. Give Pawel the hard time. Anyway, love working together. It's been great, guys. Bye. Thanks, Timu. Thanks, Jacob. Thanks, Dill. Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks everyone.
Keith,
Ray.
all of you.
Yeah,
Ray joined in early. You guys make the show, and we appreciate it. But it's been a ring-a-ding-dong dandy. But in the meantime, and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe.
Cheers.